Well, welcome everyone to our online program on addiction and recovery from the Sunshine Coast Health Center up here in Powell River, BC. And our topic is going to be on abstinence, but not abstinence in the sense of an individual. So, for example, there may be somebody who's got cirrhosis of the liver, and obviously abstinence is going to be like the right treatment, the right solution, because of a very real risk of dying if he keeps drinking, right? So not that, but more of a big picture view of abstinence, this idea that abstinence is the solution to any sort of a drug problem. And this idea actually came around in about the mid-1800s. Before then, we had these like temperance societies. Temperance means moderation. Nobody ever preached abstinence. It was always moderation, moderation. And then around, we're not quite sure, somewhere around 1850 or so, 1860, then even temperance societies decided to go for abstinence. So, and this idea took hold, and then the whole disease model, the 12-step program obviously says, stay away from the booze or the drugs. And medical doctors particularly were preaching the abstinence as the solution, because obviously the drugs were the problem. And of course, things get a little more complicated. One of the more interesting ones is methadone. Of course, methadone is a prescribed opiate for people with opiate addictions. So that's a little odd, right? That one right there. But generally speaking, there's this idea that the solution to any sort of drug problem is simply stop it. And it's that idea that we're going to look at in our online program. One of the more interesting examples that we can look at right now is the whole issue of e-cigarettes. I don't know if you've been following the debate, but it's actually quite fascinating. So there's this big debate with some people saying, oh, this is a great aid to help people stop smoking. So this is fantastic, we should promote it. And all that. Then you have another group of people who think, oh, this is terrible. Oh, geez, Jim, just more smoking, and oh my God, what's going to happen? And what's particularly interesting is, of course, we all know that the reason we can't smoke in public, restaurants, other places, is this idea that secondhand smoke was dangerous. But the problem with e-cigarettes, of course, is that they don't produce smoke, they produce vapor. So now what are you going to do? So how do you make an argument that we should ban e-cigarettes if they don't produce smoke? Well, some of the some interesting ideas have popped out of the media. I've seen two medical doctors on news shows. Both these medical doctors made an argument that science had proven that vapor was bad. They seem to quote this study that showed it found two cancer-causing agents in it. But most scientists would never publicly declare that science has proved anything, because basically we all know that there's not enough research. This is a fairly new field, and the research hasn't caught up to the e-cigarette, so no one really is going to make that comment in public. So, and they will all agree that really the science is so weak, there's no way you could make an argument for it or against it. So if the science is weak, what's the argument, right? So some of the things they've proposed, for example, are, well, this could be a gateway drug. They actually use this term too, and presumably a gateway to real smoking. But again, there's no real evidence behind that kind of argument, right? It's just that what they think might happen. Or similarly, well, geez, we've spent all of this energy, all this time, all this money, getting people to think that smoking is just plain bad. And if we were to allow these e-cigarettes around, well, all that time and energy and money, it'd be completely lost, right? And again, that's an interesting concept. Not sure that there's any evidence to suggest that's true, but these are the kinds of things that are being promoted, all on this idea of abstinence, right? We have to get rid of this stuff, just get rid of it. Even if it hints at it, like e-cigarettes, got to get rid of it. Because somehow this argument is proposed that we're going to, lose all of this energy we put into abstinence. or that somehow if we just give people a little opening, they'll jump through it and become full-fledged addicts. And so the e-cigarette debate is quite interesting in terms of the abstinence and its argument. But anyway, that's this program, and we'll be back next time with another example of abstinence.